Okay, we got KC Carpet, and they're manufacturing broadloom carpet in 7 processes, and they list the 7 processes here again, right? So spinning, dyeing, plying, spooling, tufting, latexing, and shearing, and we're doing the dyeing department. So the dyeing department comes in between spinning and plying. So anything coming into the dyeing department from another department would be coming from spinning, and then anything going out of dyeing would be going to plying. So I think the last time at the end, that's what we kind of confused a little, yeah? Okay. So they want us to do this production cost report, which is standard in process costing, where each department along the line would make a put this report together at the end of the period. So the first thing we need to do is account for the units. So this is at the head of the production cost report, where we account for units. We're going to start with beginning inventory. So beginning work in process in inventory is 65 rolls. Let's see here. And we need to add anything that was transferred in. Okay. So anything transferred in from the spinning department, 570 rolls. And if we add those together, we're going to have 635, right? And then we're going to figure out where they actually went. So we have to break down where these 635 units went. So that's what we're doing here under the heading units accounted for. So units could either be transferred out or remain in ending inventory. So we're going to label that. Completed and transferred out would be over here 520. And anything left in ending work in process, we would list here 115 rolls. Okay, so that should match up to this total up top. It should balance. So we got 635 and it balances. So in that category of units accounted for, we have to break it down further by these buckets: transferred in, direct material, and conversion costs. So we're going to take care of that. Now, just logically, right, anything that was completed and transferred out should be 100% complete. So it's not as if we have to break down this line item. We're just going to list them at 520. So as far as how they pertain to what was transferred in, the direct material, and the conversion costs, it's all 100%. So we can take the full 520 in all 3 of these categories. Okay. Now, ending work in process, not going to be exactly the same. Anything that was transferred in was already 100% complete as far as what was done to it in the department that it's being transferred in from. So we're going to take the full 115. Okay. Direct material, as far as being direct material, it's 100% direct material. So there's nothing else that could be done to it. So that's going to be the full 100% of 115. Conversion cost. Now that's conversion cost is a combination of direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. Okay, the direct labor and manufacturing overhead. Over here, it's telling me that it's only 80% complete for conversion costs. So I'm going to have to take that 115 and multiply it by 0.8 for 80%. So in my conversion costs column, on the row that's listing ending work in process, I only have 92 units. Okay. All of the conversion costs haven't been applied yet. Now all we have to do is add vertically. So these are of course going to be 635. And then the final column, 612. And this is what we call equivalent units. So these are the equivalent units down here at the bottom for each category, transferred in, direct material, conversion costs. See how we did. Yeah, good job. All right. Now we have to do the same thing. We have to figure out the units that we need to account for, but we have to do that in terms of cost. So we're going to do cost to account for first. So same idea, we're going to have a beginning work in process in terms of cost, and then we're going to have a transferred in, which is really the cost added during the period, right? And then we're going to end up dividing by the equivalent units that we figured out up top here. Okay, once we've accumulated all of those costs, okay, cost to account for. So I can go right over to my data table, put this here where we can use it, and I'm going to be looking in this cost category. So it says beginning work in process inventory, and it breaks it down. So the transferred in cost in beginning work in process are $3,900. The direct materials piece is $1,625. The conversion cost piece is $5,555. And then we add across. That's $11,080. Now cost added during the period, it's presented to us in a little bit of a different format here, because they break down those costs added in categories of transferred in. Okay, so that's $19,595. Materials added, so $9,805, and then conversion costs, $52,585. And then we can add those across. That gives me $81,985. So we got to do our subtotal here. Total cost to account for. We've got to add the top two rows. I keep getting 8. Okay. And I'm just making a subtotal here. So that's the total cost to account for. And what we want to do is we want to divide the total cost to account for by the number of equivalent units that we came up with. Okay, in line with those categories. So for transferred in, it's 635. For direct material, it's 635. And for conversion costs, it's 612. So I'm going to drop those down. 635, 635. And 612. And then it's just a matter of doing the division. So taking my total cost to account for and dividing by the respective equivalent units of production. Okay, so we'll do the first one, transferred in, 23,495 divided by 635. It's $37 per equivalent unit. Direct material, 11,430 divided by 635. $18 per equivalent unit. And then finally conversion costs, 58,140 divided by 612. 95. then we can add those across, and that's going to give me my total cost per equivalent unit. So I'll take 37, 18, and 95 and add them together. $150. It looks like we did pretty well. Now that's just the first top of it, right? That's the cost to account for. Now we have to figure out where those costs went. We have to show where they went. So we're going to follow the same format as the second half of the units piece of this production cost report, and we got to put cost on the amount on the units that were completed and transferred out. So completed and transferred out. All we need to do now is take the number of units in each category that were completed and transferred out and multiply those amounts by the cost per equivalent unit for each category. So we're lucky, it's all 520 in terms of units. So I'm going to take 520 times 37 for the transferred in amount. I'm going to take 520 times 18 for the direct materials amount. I'm going to take 520 times 95 for the conversion cost. Then we just add across. $78,000. Then we got to do, just like we did above, we got to do the ending work in process. So if you look up here, ending work in process, there's 115 for transferred in, 115 for direct materials, but there's 92 for conversion costs. So we just have to be careful when we get to conversion costs and use 92. So we'll start with the 115 times 37 for transferred in. Then we're going to do 115 times 18 for direct material. Then we're going to do 92, right? Times 95 for conversion costs. Okay. Now it's just a matter of doing the subtotals and the cross footing. So we'll go across first. And then we have to add downwards. And you might want to add across, once you do this last column, oops, you might want to add across just to be sure that it checks out. Yes, I'll go. Yeah, just adding these across. Checks out. The other checkpoint is that total cost to account for 93,065 should match total cost accounted for 93,065, and we check out. Now they want me to do journal entries. So there's really two journal entries that they're asking for. It says do a summary journal entry to record the assignment of costs transferred from the spinning department, direct materials, direct labor, and the allocation of overhead. Okay. So we're going to start with, we're in the dyeing department. Okay. So we're going to book a debit to work in process dyeing. we're going to book a credit to the spinning because we're pulling amounts out of the spinning department. So the cost coming out of the spinning department would be transferred in, right? 19,595. Okay, and you can also get it over here, 19,595. Okay, then we're going to have direct material added, so that's coming out of raw material inventory, and you can get it from here, 9,805, or you can get it from your report, 9,805. Now you got to break your direct labor and overhead down. Over here it shows it to you in summary, but in parentheses they have it broken down. So my wages payable would be, right, the manufacturing wages, 9,450, and my overhead would be 43,135. And then we add these up. And that's the total added to work in process, added to the dyeing department's work in process during the accounting period. Let's come up here and check, right? See, cost added during the period, it's this total right here. See that, yeah? 81,985. So let's check. Okay, fantastic. Then finally the last step is to see up here in the sequence, right? It moves out of dyeing into plying. They want me to book an entry, so I'm going to increase plying with a debit, and I'm going to decrease dyeing because we're taking it out of the dyeing department. And let's see. Amounts transferred, completed and transferred out from our production cost report, 78,000. Right there. So that's the total moving out of dyeing and into plying. Looks like we did it